From a modest colonial trading port to one of the world's wealthiest nations, Singapore's meteoric rise is nothing short of extraordinary. Often claimed as the Switzerland of Asia for its robust financial sector, the island nation boasts a GDP per capita that outshines the US, UK, and France. It has become a global hotspot for tech startups, innovation, and a magnet for top talent due to its advanced infrastructure and pro-business policies. Yet, beneath this gleaming success, an unexpected shift is unfolding. Expats are leaving, driven away by an overwhelming cost of living, surging housing prices, and astronomical rents. Once the go-to destination for investors and businesses, Singapore now faces a critical moment in its economic story. Why is this happening, and what does it mean for its future? Let's get into a detailed analysis of why everyone is leaving Singapore and what are the reasons behind it.
Is there global developments towards a
After going through a historical backdrop, Singapore rose to its economic dominance in the 1960s. Under the direction of its first Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew concentrated on an export-led economy to attract foreign capital and build a manufacturing base. Its strategic location near the Strait of Malacca, the Indian Ocean, and the South China Sea made it a shipping hub. Kuan Yew established a strong financial and legal system, and it was a stepping stone towards a more advanced economy. A stable and largely corruption-free government was set. In the 1980s, he liberalized the financial services industry with a few rules and regulations. That clever strategy paid off, and now there are around 4,200 multinational companies that have their headquarters in Singapore. Along with that, Singapore is a country in Southeast Asia with approximately 6.04 million population. That makes Singapore one of the most densely populated countries in the world. In terms of size, it is a tiny country compared to other developed cities around the world. Despite that, Singapore has managed to make its mark on the global map, with its top-notch digital market and its skilled population. Moreover, Singapore is also known for the cleanest streets in the world with a 50,000-strong workforce to keep the streets clean. Located off the southern tip of Malaysia, Singapore is a famous tourist destination. It is highly urbanized, but with a few pockets of green places, and it has diverse communities. It is often called Lion City, and is among the safest places in the world with a low crime rate. The Safety Perception Index ranks Singapore among the top most peaceful countries in the world. Singapore is constantly innovating and buzzing with skyscrapers. The country has blended its traditional roots with modern technology and architecture. That is the reason it has state-of-the-art buildings, vibrant nightlife, and world-class shopping destinations. Singapore is an attractive location due to its efficient transportation system, modern facilities, and well-integrated infrastructure. It remains a top financial hub in Asia, and the wealthiest country in terms of GDP per capita. Moreover, it is a financial center with a strong economy and is known for its business-friendly environment. Not only that, low taxes and a robust framework make it a dreamy place for expatriates. On top of that, Singapore is home to a multicultural society with major ethnic groups. Its education system is consistently ranked one of the best due to its style of teaching. All these prospects make Singapore a favorable place for foreigners and visitors. But besides all this, there is a strange development on the rise in Singapore. People that have been living in Singapore for quite some time are leaving. Expatriates and some investors are thinking of leaving the country due to many financial challenges. Others say they cannot manage with their enough resources and wages. Some experts have pointed out figures on the rising dissatisfaction among expats due to the set of challenges this country poses to them. Let's explore what are the challenges to the people living in Singapore. The first and foremost financial challenge is the high cost of living. The cost of living is increasing gradually, and it has prompted many people to counter this issue with their wages. Inflation is stubbornly high, from groceries to electricity and water prices. The rising inflation has put a question mark on the existence of lower-income groups living in Singapore. The inflation rate in 2022 was 6.12%, a 3.82% increase from 2021. Although 2024 statistics show that the inflation rate is 4.82% and reduced from the previous year, it still made an impact on expatriates and industrial output. Secondly, according to reports, Singapore is among the list of world's most expensive cities. As it is politically and economically stable, it attracts an ultra-rich population. On the contrary, this does not bode well for the middle class and lower-income people. As the rich class grows with economic growth, so does the cost of living and inflation. While this success creates prosperity, this also creates many other challenges. For example, the prices of essential goods and services, including housing, healthcare, and education, have increased multiple folds. That makes it harder for Singaporeans to maintain their standard of living. After COVID-19, the cost of healthcare has risen, which puts financial strain on families. Adding to that, the cost of housing has increased at a faster rate after the pandemic. Average rental prices surged by 30% in 2022, which is the highest in the last 15 years. Some analysts also claim that many Singaporeans and expatriates spend 70% income to pay for rent. That makes it challenging for expats to manage their income after meeting the demand of high living expenses. Also, 40% of the population of Singapore is foreign-born, and it cannot manage housing shortages. This is due to many factors like a shortage of housing supply, due to construction delays and strong demand for companies and talent to relocate to the city. Property prices have skyrocketed, car ownership costs heavily, and rental prices have soared. According to a report, the price of owning a car remained the most expensive in the world in Singapore. The market value of the car reaches multiple folds after additional fees and taxes. So it is not easily accessible for expats to buy a car and get an ownership certificate. Due to Singapore's small size, if everyone owns a car, then the city would be congested and roads would be jam-packed. That's why the government has put strict limitations on car ownership and increased costs. Another issue is the lack of land. The land is scarce, as Singapore is a tiny island nation. Due to this, there is competition among the locals and foreigners to acquire a piece of land for a house or a property. That in turn increases the property prices. While the anticipation of living in Singapore is exciting, foreigners face certain other challenges. There are many, like a cultural shock, a fast-paced city lifestyle, and strict laws and regulations. Moreover, cultural and linguistic diversity, strict social norms, and limited personal spaces are the other challenges many people face. Another challenge that daunts Singapore's population is the rising stress and anxiety in the aging and young population. According to a survey on mental health in 2022, 63% of the respondents aged between 16 and 24 years that they had a higher level of stress and anxiety. That highlights there is a bit more stress in Singaporeans than in any other country in the world. This stress in adults is for the sake of progress and continued prosperity. Many Singaporeans deem mental health as the biggest health problem, close to 46%. This fear of not being able to meet ends, paying mortgages, and paying off rent leads to chronic stress that is prevalent in many families. Also, as the country's growth model is dependent on foreign labor, it has raised the issue of job competition among the citizens. So all these issues have forced many to leave Singapore and relocate to another favorable workplace city. Keeping in view of our discussion, it is clear that Singapore is in a mess regardless of its technological power. It needs to address the challenges at hand if it wants its economic growth and soft power on the track. So an efficient policy framework and an effective policy implementation are necessary to solve these issues. Only then, expatriates can feel easy to stay in Singapore. Will Singapore do this in the future? Maybe or maybe not. What are your thoughts about it? Do you think Singapore will review its policies to make it more friendly for visitors and residents alike? Let us know in the comments section. For more such videos and hot topics, stay tuned to our channel and don't forget to subscribe.